bring strong experience to the table, whether it comes from work, school, or life responsibilities. The key is translating that experience into language that employers instantly understand. That's the dynamic there that we want to make sure we address. Modern employers expect strong analytical communication, leadership skills, and you're developing those skills daily, often without realizing it. Let me break this down a little bit more for you. So let's work on identifying your transferable skills. This section focuses on identifying skills you may not notice in yourself, right? So transferable skills are abilities that move with you from one role or environment to another. We'll explore how to recognize them and how to express them clearly, which is very important. So in your mind or in this chat, think about tasks you complete without even thinking. Often these things feel automatic to you or actually valuable skills. Consider what people always rely on you for and the tasks that consistently fall in your hands because, as they quote, you can handle it. So think about that as we go forward. Those everyday tasks, they often reveal real strengths like organizing, coordinating, troubleshooting, or mentoring. Many people overlook these abilities because they feel normal or routine. What feels normal to you can be incredibly valuable to an employer. And if you ever have any difficulty sort of understanding what some of your strengths are in terms of a concept, a broad speaking concept, you can go to the orientation, the UNT orientation website, take the strengths finder and get a beginning personality perspective on what you have to offer, and then combine it with your actual work experience to see which skills really stand out when you think about it. So here's a visual to help you reflect on how your daily experiences connect to real workplace skills. Keep these examples in mind as we continue. Let me kind of tell you a little bit about how to interpret this chart. So essentially what you have here, this is coming from the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and it basically says that employers want, by importance, they rate these skills and they want these skills in all of their candidates. So critical thinking, communication, teamwork, professionalism, and technology. But when they look at the data overall nationally, um, they rate the actual candidates as having just limited proficiency compared to the importance. So when it comes to critical thinking, they feel that only 55% of candidates come in with that proficient critical thinking, 53% for communication, and so forth. And so as I begin breaking this down even more for you, please keep this in mind that sometimes the way that we view our proficiency is not always the way employers view our proficiency. But I want you to pay close attention to the technology component of the critical skills here that are key to career readiness and ultimately real world application. When it comes to technology, the importance and the proficiency is very well aligned. So uh, leverage that and continue upskilling through micro credentials, LinkedIn, Coursera, for theforge.com, all of which are free for UNT students to continue developing these skills small bits at a time. So your transferable skills come from the results you create, not just your job title. Instead of asking what your job was, ask what improvements or outcomes you created. The task, action, impact, and skill method helps you turn these experiences into strong, clear statements. This is how you make your skills visible on resumes and during the interview process. Now, it's important for me to let you know that your life experience is a powerful teacher. Parenting, caregiving, military service, community work, and leadership roles, all skills that you have developed and offer value to employers. Just think of conflict resolution, for example, by being part of the military, if you're a service member. Think about coaching. Think about what you do in the community. Or have you ever dealt with a crisis? Do you have crisis management skills? Have you done any volunteering work that deals with that? Don't underestimate the impact of your experiences outside of traditional employment. Because when we meet with employers, they tell us time and time again that this is what they're looking for. They can teach you technical skills, but the transferable skills are a little bit more challenging to teach. So coming in with them certainly makes a difference. And if you're limited by your experience, your coursework also reveals transferable skills. Group projects show teamwork and leadership. Presentations highlight communication and persuasion. Research assignments demonstrate analysis, writing skills, critical thinking. Even online learning shows digital literacy and self-management. Just think about when you complete a LinkedIn course module. What does that show as far as your actual learning capacity and your digital literacy and the way that you manage your time? Think about all those things that are currently being done by you or you will be doing and how they fit into certain categories of transferable skills that make the difference. Now, employers care deeply, deeply about evidence of competence. Nearly 90% say the best way applicants can demonstrate skills is by providing clear, specific examples using a simple structure, skill, context, and results. It helps you communicate confidently, and this method strengthens both your written materials and your interview responses. So if you don't mind, quickly put in the chat, what two skills do you think you excel at? What do you bring to the table? Is it communication? Is it professionalism? Is it something more than that? And definitely would like to see those in the chat so I can get familiar with what you're thinking in terms of transferable skills. Now, hiring may fluctuate, but one constant remains. Employers want proof of your skills at all times. Use focused, action-focused verbs, measurable accomplishments, and examples that highlight leadership, collaboration, and digital literacy. Ethical use of AI tools can help you refine your language, but your authentic voice should always lead. And it's interesting, Claire, that you mentioned active listening and empathy. I mean, those are skills that you really need to understand the needs of an organization, the needs of an employer. And through listening, you really begin to feel a little bit more empathetic to whatever the problem is. Just think about just personal relationships. When you listen more, you understand the needs of the person more, and therefore you are able to respond adequately and then able to build empathy. And the same thing happens in organizations. So people skills and communication are definitely very important. So hats off to you for having that. And then Martina, planning and professionalism. It would be sort of counterintuitive if you did all of those things that you talk about, communication, leadership, etc., without professionalism. Professionalism is by far one of the umbrella concepts that is very important to have and that supersedes a lot of the other transferable skills that we always talk about. And planning is also important. I mean, one of the things that I do on a daily basis is manage my time through a calendar. Planning ahead is really important. That's one of the reasons why I'm able to do this presentation is because I plan accordingly. So yeah, definitely is something that we want to make sure we continue doing. So I appreciate you guys participating in the chat when it comes to those things. Now, when writing a resume bullet point, this is the difference and this is the key. And this is why I'm glad you guys didn't miss this session. Weak statements only say what you did. Strong statements explain how or why you did something. The strongest statements show the measurable impact of your work. Impact is what truly makes your experience stand out. And that's an important concept to understand. If you can't measure it, how do we know that it happened? If it's not documented, then what makes you think it happened? So documenting your impact, whether it's in a volunteer organization, whether it's on a part-time job, whether it's in an internship, is so important. Documenting percentages and metrics, as listed in the best example on this slide, is one way to really stand out and continuing to foster your experience. Give me a thumbs up if you are finding this presentation useful, and I will ensure that I'll keep providing different tips for you to use along the way. Okay, so moving on. Most employers now use behavioral interviews to validate skills. Martina and Claire, the STAR method, situation, task, action, and result, keeps your answers focused and clear. Highlighting results that show that you just didn't complete tasks, but you actually created meaningful outcomes is key. Now, one of the key things I will tell you, and sort of a tip that I want you to keep in mind, is that when you're speaking to someone, you may be struggling to sort of maintain their attention. You may want to start with the result first. You know, here's how I increased customer service from 55% to 80% within 7 days. Starting with the result first shows that you're committed to your development and that you know how to create meaningful impact. And highlighting those results during the STAR interview process is going to be an important goal of yours, because remember, and you'll see it again in the presentation, the resume gets you the interview, but the interview is ultimately what gets you the position. And so you want to keep that in mind. Now, online students often rely heavily on digital communication, so your online presence matters. Networking on platforms like LinkedIn remains one of the most effective career tools, regardless of hiring trends. Your headline and pitch should tell a clear, compelling story about your backgrounds and strengths. And that's important for me to highlight, because oftentimes you are already making a digital impression before you even step in the room. And so understanding that really addressing your presence online and communicating in digital spaces is often the precursor to networking well. And so you want to make sure that you keep that in mind. So ask yourself, how do you network on a recurrent basis? Are you joining student orgs that have industry partners that come in and present? Are you heavily involved in the community and you meet people all the time? Or maybe you're a barista and you talk to people all the time and get to hear their stories. And so think about what skills you're using. Think about how you want to display them on LinkedIn and how you can develop a pitch out of that. So if I were to ask you in the chat, how do you network? Do you attend events? Do you go out in the community? Do you join student orgs? What is your way of networking? I'll give you just 10 seconds to put that in the chat, and then we'll keep going forward. Okay, I see LinkedIn. Yes, wonderful. So being aware of LinkedIn, attending fairs as well, thank you, Claire, is so important. You know, there's testimonials from the career fair of students going back not once, not twice, but maybe 3 or 4 times. Maybe the first year, they're not looking for an internship. They're just looking to make connections. They go back and they make a different connection with the same employer. They maybe notice that they have a little bit more time to speak with them, or they get there a little early or stay a little late. And so those interactions really matter. And so over time, we have testimonials of students actually getting job offers or job interviews from just getting to know a recruiter. And so networking in this sort of environment is so critical to achieving your goals and ultimately getting a role in the future. So keep doing that. Keep being active on LinkedIn. Anytime that you attend an industry event or any event for that matter, make the post, create your content, and capture your experience. You can also share digital badges from LinkedIn, for example, and Coursera. So that way people know what your brand is, what you stand for, and ultimately what your goal is in terms of professionally in the future. So I want to talk real briefly about what we have to offer in terms of the careers, in terms of the services that we offer through the Career Center. We offer career path exploration, okay? And essentially what that means is that we meet with you, we talk with you, and we sort of understand what your needs are in terms of your future self. We can help you to find out what you can do with your major, how to evaluate your transferable skills. We help you with interview prep, resume reviews. We also help you with networking strategies and what to do at employer events or maybe professional networking opportunities. If you are confused about the internship process or the job search process, it's also important that you understand that we have services that are related to that. We can tell you more about workshops, information sessions, and tabling opportunities. And on the screen, you actually have a QR code to learn more about what the Career Center has to offer. Any questions so far from the presentation? I'll give you just 15 seconds in my 5-minute timer to see if you have any questions for me before I move forward. Just 15 seconds. And if you need to come off mute to do so, you're more than welcome. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So if any questions do come up, feel free to share that in the chat or come off mute and do feel free to ask. So I want to share just some events that are coming up in the future for you. And I thought that this was very important for me to share with you because it's all about how we prepare for the application process and how we build transferable skills. So what you have on your left here, these are open to any college, including beyond the business college, is we have conversations with hiring and talent specialists. So every month we invite recruiters to come out and to talk briefly about what they're looking for in terms of resumes, in terms of skills, how they evaluate candidates. And I wanted to make sure that you know about this. So the next one is on March 26th. I should actually say 2026. It's called Maximizing Your Search Success. I will actually be leading that one. And then I will also be leading the job simulation and experiential learning experience on April 7th from 2 to 3. They're all virtual and they're all available for you to register on Handshake. So I wanted to make sure that I let you know about those. And then we also have a job simulation and experiential learning workshop, which is coming up on April 2nd. And let me tell you a little bit about this. So the reason this is being offered to you and the reason that I'm spending some time going over this is because a lot of time when we hold events either on campus or through your college, a lot of it is very much information-based, information sessions. But on April 2nd, we're actually doing a mini case study, which you're invited to. And it's all about preparing you to build real life skills. We're bringing in a panel from different industries, including music business. We also have information technology, a panelist from information technology, and other alumni that will be joining us. And the idea is to help build your confidence, motivation, and direction. But we're doing it through a mini case study where you can actually practice skills that you're learning in the academic setting. So if you're interested, would enjoy having you there. It's another way to build your skills and definitely stay tuned to that. So in the interest of time, I want to make sure that I give you a chance to also, if you're interested, complete the evaluation that we have here through the QR code, and also to remind you about the All Majors Career Fair, which is April 8th, 2026. So being that it's a small and intimate space today with Claire and Martina joining us. I wanted to leave time towards the end to see if we could get some interaction in terms of some questions that you guys have about how you actually build these skills, or some strategies that you think you're interested in learning more about, or if you have any questions about the Career Center and things that we can help you with. We'll definitely enjoy hearing those. And if Dallas, you want for me to address anything or talk a little bit more about something, feel free to let me know as well.
Um, okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes, Claire.
Yes. Okay, so I guess one question that I have would be, how do you network with people when you're really, really nervous about it? I don't know if that's like a stupid question, but I tend to be kind of shy, and I know networking is super important. Especially like in my major, it's all kind of human interaction based. So I guess just some tips on how to be better about that and how to not be so nervous would be nice.
Yeah, Claire, and that's a really good question, actually. Claire, may I give you a testimonial of a student that was going through something similar? Of course, I won't mention the name or anything like that, but I think it'll help paint a picture.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so this specific student was looking for an internship in accounting, actually. And the very first time that I met this student, she came to me and we met, and it was a 1 hour career center service session. We have many different services here in the Career Center, one of which is resume review. In this particular case, it was job search or internship search. So I met with a student, and she was so nervous, Claire. She was so nervous to just have a meeting with me. She thought she had to come prepared. She thought she had to have a list of questions. And so I just started talking to her about her interest. And I said, what are you interested in? Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. So I was asking some of those same questions that you asked during the interview process, but in a very informal way. And she was answering them pretty well. And the more that I made it informal, the more I started noticing that she started building her confidence a little bit more. And so then what I proceeded to do is that I said, okay, it sounds like you are having a little bit of limited confidence with regard to like how you explain yourself, how you interact with others. How about you go do this strengths finder with it's free for you and two students through orientation, and then come back and tell me what your strengths are and what you learn about yourself. And so she immediately completed that assessment, and she learned a lot about herself, and it made her more confident about who she was. And so, Claire, the reason that I bring that story up is because ultimately the student ended up participating in three other events subsequently within a period of 3 weeks. And the student that was so worried about getting an internship actually ended up getting an internship with KPMG, which is one of the big four firms in accounting. But the difference maker was that maybe she was a little bit shy and maybe she lacked confidence, but she followed up so well. You asked her to do something and she would follow up immediately. And that impressed the recruiter for KPMG. She said, I can work with the confidence. I was like that myself. I just need someone that is willing to learn. So if that helps, Claire, just begin learning, begin asking questions, begin attending events and meeting with your career coach. And over time, you'll just get a little more and more comfortable. Now, it doesn't work for everyone. And when it doesn't, we can definitely work through that. But it starts with sort of building your confidence, not just academically, but slowly having informal conversations and practicing, because practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. And so continue practicing, and I hope that helps clear up some things for you, Claire.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Martina, do you have any questions either in the chat or uh, for me via voice? Thank you, Martina. See you typing. And Claire, thank you so much for the question, because I think these are things that we don't often talk about. And also, Dallas, thank you for putting the link in the chat. She doesn't have any questions at the moment, so I want to spend just 2 minutes, if I can, just giving you some additional information that I possibly couldn't give you during the presentation, we have a platform called The Forge. If you have heard of The Forge, please let me know in the chat. And so I'm going to also put the link in the chat for you, so that way you can have that and you can take with you. This is by far one of the most important and most resourceful things that I can share with you to not only build your confidence, but also expand your work experience. Because sometimes we don't feel as confident because maybe we don't have the experience in the industry. This is free for UNT students, and what it is it helps you explore careers and prepare for jobs through job simulations that are typically 2 to 3 hours long. They're free, and they also are in the industry that you are actually working in. And so here's what happens. You go online, you complete one of these. Once you complete it in 2 to 3 hours, you get the bullet points for your resume, and you also get a certificate. The bullet point for your resume then gets transferred over to your resume, and it becomes up to date, real and actual world experience because it's put out by a real company. And so if your resume sort of looks like you haven't done much in the industry or the major that you're seeking, try this and then put it on your resume to help you feel more confident going into the internship or job search process. And also, what I really love about it is that you actually also get to practice some transferable skills by seeing what a day-to-day looks like. We also offer career treks through the Career Center where you can go job shadow an employer and learn more about their company in a one-day experience that you can also put it on your resume. So all of these one-day experience, all of these resources help you build the industry knowledge that you need to feel confident during the interview process. If you're not already signed up for the April 8th career fair, it's also an interesting opportunity if you're wanting to refresh your networking skills by going in, even though you may not be looking for a job, and just meeting the recruiters and getting to know them. We also offer, and all of this is available through the Career Center website. If you go to this actual QR code, you can actually also see professional networking events that are available for you to continue building out your experience. So with that in mind, I will stop sharing my screen. But if you ever have any questions or interested in learning more about the different resources that we have to offer, you can always reach out to me or go by Sage 260 and see more about what we have to offer from the Career Center itself. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for presenting today. I always say I feel like students don't always know about the awesome resources that the Career Center has to offer. I'm an alumni of UNT. I graduated here about 2 years ago. And I feel like there are so many things I'm learning after graduation that I wish I would have known. Meeting with students and hearing them saying like, oh, I wanted to get an internship, but I'm not sure who to talk to. And I tell them, well, we have internship specialists available at UNT. Or even like just talking to your career coach, trying to figure out what you don't know is sometimes the easiest step to go. Each college has their own career coach, so you're able to kind of get advice that's catered more to what you're looking for. Then, Claire, you mentioning being kind of shy and not sure what to talk about. I'm 100%. I was the same way. I I think what really helped me in terms of building that confidence and talking to people more often, it sounds bad, but for me, I always like to joke that I cosplay as a very peppy, very social person whenever I'm in a situation where I need to network or communicate a lot more, or when I'm giving presentations, or when I'm at conferences, things like that. So I like to cosplay, I like to pretend, even if I'm not 100% the confident person when it comes to networking and building connections or even things like interviews. So it is definitely something to build on. I always say that no one is expecting perfection. We just want progress. And
Mhm.
progress is always favored over perfection. Um, and what else was there I was going to say? Um, Yeah, definitely recommend if you ever have the time, just kind of going into the Career Center website and really just looking into what resources and what information they have, any events that are coming up. Like for the Forge website, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm 100% going to start telling people about that now. And that's what I enjoy about, things like this, presentations like this, where like you're receiving valuable information that you can apply in different areas, but you're also learning more about the different resources and opportunities that UNT has. So always love a good learning session. Let me bring back up our real quick before I have everyone sign off. Just a reminder, if you haven't already, this is the QR code for registration in the top left, and then on record information on the bottom. And then if you are interested in learning more about some upcoming events, of course, we have the Career Center events coming up. Both virtual and in-person options are available. And then for Future in Flight, just our next week, we're going to talk about building skills through micro-credentials. So these are some different credentials, certificates that you can add to your resume, add to your LinkedIn to really help you and help you stand out to employers. And then we have career planning for non-traditional students. Again, it doesn't have to, it's not just for non-traditional students, but it does help students who have a bit more experience in their field or a little more like jobs, internships, whatever the case may be. But I highly recommend, again, looking into the Career Center. Even just if you're not sure about who to go to or who to talk to, just schedule an appointment with your career coach. They're always available. And what I also appreciate about the Career Center is even after you graduate, they still have support and services available for alumni. So definitely recommend keeping that in mind whenever you do get closer to graduation and eventually go on and look for a career, that there still are services available for you as a UNT alum. All you have to do is literally just look up UNT Career Center alumni, and they will provide some different resources and services that kind of help you go to your next step. But that is all I had. Let me go ahead and stop recording this real quick. And then again, if anyone